Have you? Oh yeah, that's right. Jeez, oh man. Ugh. We do have a super chat here. Thank you, Digital Architect 999. He says, "What's up, Rob and Dom? Hope you're all doing great. My question is, what was Vince's reaction to you smoking weed? I'm grateful he didn't give you a cheesy stoner character like he did Riddle." Yeah. What was his reaction? Because yeah, Vince is always like, "Oh, about the body and all that kind of stuff," and has his own mindset about things.
I'm trying to think if I ever had the conversation, and I don't think I've ever talked to him ever about smoking.
Yeah.
No, not that I can remember. One time I brought it up, but then I shut the window on it immediately. And this is part of a much bigger story. But it was at a point where I was adapting to the new waters of WWE, the political atmosphere, people stooging on me for smoking. It ended up, Johnny Ace said one time, he said, "Hey, Robbie, you know, Vince is going to want to talk to you on Monday. Somebody said that you're smoking weed during TV days. I'm not saying you are. You probably are, but I'm not saying that. But and he's going to want to talk to you about that." And I was like, I had so much on my mind that I needed to get off. So I was like, man, I can't wait to talk to him. And so much. Man, that's weird. I guess Barbie would be reacting if that was a car. I thought I heard a car.
Oh, really?
Must not have. Barbie's ears are better than mine. Anyway, when I got to TV, and I had a feeling like I don't think Vince is going to want to talk to me about that. I mean, if I'm in his position, I have so many layers to protect me from having to do certain things. And one of those things would be having to publicly know, like having to admit that he knows, like for him in his position, he'd be better off if he didn't ever have to know for sure that RVD smokes weed. And if I have that conversation with him and I'm like, yeah, I smoke, boom, 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 boom. Well, I think that would put him in a position because now he's got information that could, potentially come back as libelous to him. And that's just how I've always felt about it. He's not going to want to talk to me and not want to confront that at all. But I was so frustrated that I made sure he confronted me. We had the talk anyway, and I waited outside his door, and I had something else going on. And I kept going back and forth and kept going back to the door and waiting from the room he was in. And Michael Hayes said finally, like, Rob, did you want to talk to Vince? I was like, yeah, I do. That would be great. He goes, well, let me go in there and see if he can talk to you. He went in, came out, said, go ahead. And I went in there and I had a lot of stuff that I was frustrated on. So I let it off my chest is what I did. Right. Mm-hmm. And I brushed that and then just went right by it. I said, hey, Johnny told me that you were going to want to talk to me because somebody said that I'm smoking weed and getting high during TVs. And he went, actually, Rob. And then I just raked his eyes and just kept right over it and said, that's so typical that somebody would be stooging me off because they can't handle the fact that I'm getting over here doing it my way and a legitimate tough guy. So the APA can't go out there and just power bomb them like it looked like they were doing as a shoot at that time. I don't know if they were or not, but I know that was on my mind. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's just a little piece of a much bigger story. And that's the only time I think I remember ever even having pot in the conversation with Vince.
Yeah. Man, yes, that kind of aspect of I bet that had to feel good, though, whenever you had those opportunities to be like, I got a lot of shit I want to say and get off my chest when it comes to that stuff.
It wasn't often, 2 or maybe 3 times while I was there, and they were all pretty pivotal in my stress levels.
Yeah. I could imagine that. I could definitely imagine that. Yeah, and when you don't get those opportunities and you want to say something, you have an itch to say something, it's just like, oh, I
Couldn't wait to talk to him,
Right.
and
Yeah.
some other issues I had to take care of that day too.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice, man.